Hey guys, and welcome to Pool Shed Games. I am Andrew, also known as Lich Lord, and tonight I'm going to be talking about comics. Now, I figured talking about comics tonight would be a good idea, since for the past, 3 or 4 times I have talked about science fiction fantasy, so why not talk about comics for a little bit, because I like comics. Who doesn't like comics? Only cool people like comics, right? Yeah. But okay, and the comic I'm going to be talking about is Saga of the Swamp Thing. Which is written by Alan Moore, published in 1981 originally, I think. 1983 originally, by DC Comics. It's definitely one of my favorite runs of, comic book runs as far as that goes. Swamp Thing was originally created by Len Wein in 1971, I believe. And I've actually read most of his comics also, which is nicely collected in this book, which is Swamp Thing Dark Genesis, and I definitely recommend reading this before reading Saga of the Swamp Thing. You can definitely read Saga of the Swamp Thing without reading Dark Genesis, but I think reading Dark Genesis will give you a better overview of what, Alan Moore changed, what he, what's different about the Swamp Thing in comparison to how he originally was, just the feel of the comic in general, and, just to have a general knowledge of what this character is all about. Because this is still, this basically jumps straight from this to Saga the Swamp Thing. And one thing that's very interesting about this run is that Len Wein completely agreed with the changes that Alan Moore made. He actually thought it was a great idea. The changes he wanted to make, he thought it was a great idea. And I'll talk about those changes he made a little bit later. But anyways, one of the big differences that I noticed between this and Saga the Swamp Thing is the artwork, which is slightly different, and I still like the artwork that's in this one quite a bit. I like the artwork in Saga of the Swamp Thing a little bit more than I like in comparison to Len Wein's Swamp Thing, but I'll give you an example of just some of the artwork in this one, which, it's nice. It's a little bit more animated, a little bit more cartoonish, I guess you could say, but it's still very good. And obviously, this is where it all started, so it's still very good. And I would definitely recommend picking this up and reading also, because it's really good. But now I'll get into Saga of the Swamp Thing itself, and first I'll start talking about some of the the different artwork, the way the artwork has changed, and the artwork in this one is done by Stephen Bissett and John Tettelbin, and I'll just give you an example of some of the artwork in here, which I think here's a good example of some of the art. Very nice, and I have a couple more marked out here. Yeah, there's very, very nice artwork right there. Which, as you can tell, it's a little bit grittier than the stuff that's in that was in Dark Genesis. Very nice there, and a few more that I really like. Hopefully, there's no spoilers in these. I looked at them and pretty sure there isn't. Yeah, there's some. This is just in the photo gallery in the back, and that's definitely some really, really nice artwork there. And there's some more throughout here too. And the third one, let's see if there's some. Which this is my favorite comic or favorite issue in this run of comics, which was the Nude Face Papers, which is just awesome, and it basically deals with nuclear waste and how we dispose of nuclear waste and that sort of thing. And that's the cover, which is really cool because if you can tell, there's newspaper clippings throughout the at the top there, and they're actually real newspaper clippings that Alan Moore took. He found about different chemical spills that happen throughout the world in the United States, different things like that. So and they're actually really. I sat down and read, and when I was reading this, I read through a lot of these, which they're pretty short, and that was kind of like kind of scary because they're real, so it's pretty cool. And let's see if I have some more here. Yeah, I really like that kind of caption down there. It's Nuke Face. If you've read the comics, you know who I mean. But yeah, definitely really nice artwork. See if I have anything else. No, I don't. So yeah, what makes this comic so much? better than, I won't say better, but what makes this an important comic is that Alan Moore deals with a lot of very complex subject matter. So, I'll go into what he covers. He covers, things like race, things like human sexuality, things like, nuclear holocaust, nuclear war, nuclear waste, things like that. It's definitely, he definitely goes into a lot of environmental issues. I mean, Swamp Thing is basically a plant, so, obviously there's going to be some environmental issues that are going to be covered in this, which is probably a big part. Even subjects like religion he goes into. There's one issue in which Swamp Thing has to go into hell in order to get his loved one out of hell, Abby. He has to go into hell to get her out. It almost has a very, like, Dante's Inferno type of feel to it. It's very, very good comic, but yeah, and he goes into a lot of different issues, complex subjects such as that in this comic run also, and even his other stuff. If you don't know about Alan Moore, he has written Watchmen, V for Vendetta. He originally wrote for 2001 AD. He then wrote for DC for a while, and he had definitely a falling out with DC, and Alan Moore has always been kind of a anti-authoritarian type of person. He doesn't get along with, like, large corporations and governments and things like that. So, there was a definite falling out between him and DC Comics. And he went independent for a while after that, and he then wrote for Image Comics for a little bit, and then he went back to being independent. I'm pretty sure he's still independent right now. Some of the big names, as I already said, V for Vendetta. Almost everybody out there knows about V for Vendetta. Even if you don't read comics, you may not know where V for Vendetta was originally, where V was originally created, who originally created him, but you've definitely seen the mask. With stuff like Occupy Wall Street and whatnot. Everybody knows the Guy Fawkes mask. Everybody knows V. They may not know that it was originally created by Alan Moore, but they know about it. They know what the subject matter and stuff like that is. Most people know about Watchmen. If you've read comics, you definitely know about Watchmen. Even if you haven't read comics, you probably know at least about the movie. Some other stuff, obviously, Saga the Swamp Thing. He also did From Hell. He did, and he's currently working on League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He's still doing that, which is very, very good. Despite what your feelings about the movie are, the comic is actually really good. I thought the movie was, I'm not going to go into that very much, but it was alright. Let's put it that way. I don't know. But yeah, Alan Moore is infamous for going into complex issues, and I think what I really like about Alan Moore is he doesn't necessarily push his viewpoint on you. What his goal is, especially with Saga the Swamp Thing, with issues like nuclear war, nuclear, radiation in general, things, everything to do with nuclear power and disposing of nuclear waste and things like that. The environmental issues he goes into, the issues on human sexuality he goes into, the issues on race he goes into, the issues on religion he goes into. He's not pushing his viewpoint. He is simply trying to get you thinking about these subjects, which, regardless of what your viewpoint on something like, environmentalism, that's a very, touchy subject, especially in the United States where we are recording right now. It's a very touchy subject. But regardless of your viewpoint, I think you need to be thinking about what is going on in the environment, because, it affects our everyday lives. It affects not only our lives, but the lives of people on the other side of the globe. It affects everything. And same with race. It's something that's very important. It's something that, affects all of our lives. And regardless of your viewpoint on it, you should be thinking about it, right? That's kind of the way I look at it, at least. And that's what Alan Moore is trying to do with these comics. And I think, one of the things that is really interesting about comics, especially approaching subjects like that, is it's a very good medium. A lot of people think of comics as being something juvenile, or something that's kind of a throwaway literature, something that's not important, something that's, it's just something kids read for fun, and it's definitely not. There are many comics out there that have dealt with many, many different types of important issues, such as the ones I've just previously discussed. And I think that comics gets a bad rap, but I think at the same time, because it has that bad rap, it's able to do a lot of things that you can't do in other mediums. I mean, TV, for instance, you can't approach many subjects on TV anymore. Mainstream, obviously, like literature, like, science fiction and fantasy also get away with doing a lot of stuff like that too, because a lot of people think of those as kind of juvenile also, which they're definitely not. So they're able to like discuss a lot of these things that other mediums just aren't able to discuss at all, which is cool. And I think that is, what comics can do is amazing. I think because people think it is juvenile, it succeeds a lot more than a lot of other mediums do, which is cool. And that's about it for this video. If you like the video, then like and subscribe. But if you don't, then let us know why. Maybe you have read this run of comics. And I have to be honest, I actually haven't finished the entire run of comics. I had the first 3 issues. I think there's like 6. And I have the 4th one on back order right now, and it's actually pre-ordered, and I'm not sure when I'm going to get it, but hopefully I'll get that soon, and I'll get the others soon. I'll be able to, make another video talking about some of those. But if you have read this run of comics and, you want to start a discussion or in the comments or something like that, feel free. Maybe I've missed some things, and you can add that, of course. But, yeah, that's about it for tonight, and see you next time.